junkies out there, I invite you to spend some time with me. I'm Johnny Allen, and this is the Johnny Allen Podcast Show. Okay, and the show does start now. I'm your host, Johnny Allen. This is the Johnny Allen Podcast / Videocast Show. Welcome to February the 6th, Thursday, or as I call them, Friday Eves. Hey, you can check me out on Facebook Watch, Facebook Live, my Facebook page, whatever. And you can also check me out on YouTube as well under the same name, Johnny Allen Podcast Show. Hey, today I want to talk about the weather. First of all, as you guys know, I live in the Midwest, and the weather is wacky. Monday, which was just 3 days ago, was 57 degrees and sunny. 57 degrees and sunny. Pretty nice. Felt like a spring day. Yesterday and today, cold, rainy, snowy, icy. You get it, 33 degrees. If you don't have your coffee, get it out now. Let's have a swig. Dunkin' Donuts variety today. And this mug actually is for my daughter. I think she bought it for me as a Christmas gift. And yesterday was her birthday, so thanks. And Allie, and happy belated birthday also. It's hard to believe how fast your kids grow. Grow up. Unbelievable. So I'm not going to give her age, but it's like she's moving right along. It's incredible. Which means I'm moving right along, too, and getting older. I actually got a birthday at the end of this month myself. So I plan on going out and doing a little celebration with the family and friends and having a pretty good time. So I hope your day is going well and your week's gone well, guys. Hey, listen, I want to talk a little bit. I'm not a political show or anything, but I got to bring up a couple things for you guys to think about. You know, I talk about everyday life situations, and I put food for thought out there for you. I kind of get you thinking a little bit. At least I hope I do. I know I think about a lot of these things that I come up with, and I observe, and you know, I come to these conclusions about how people behave and how people act, and it's astounding to me how people act. Everybody up from our government down. So that being said, I'm not a political show, but I do have to bring up a couple points from the State of the Union address that the president did last Tuesday. Okay. Now, by me saying I'm not a political show means I don't care if you like the president. I've said this before. Like the president or don't like the president. I like to keep an open mind on what's going on. And I bring these stories up rather, like I said, to get you to think about the consequences of our actions and their actions and everybody's actions. You have consequences to your actions. And how does it influence the youth? So I'm going to start this story off with the State of the Union address. Like I said, whether you like Trump or not doesn't really matter to me. But I will keep things, like I said, open-minded. Now, State of the Union address, I felt like it was pretty good. Seemed like it was pretty nice. A lot of people liked it. A lot of people, even that not Trump supporters, said, hey, it was pretty good. It was a good one, probably the best one he's ever done. He had some guests on there, or people that had some life-changing events happen to him. He recognized that. He tried to stress what they're trying to do and all this good stuff. It was pretty good. You know, the bottom line was I thought it was a pretty good State of the Union address. Now, with that being said, a lot of people say, no, it was terrible. He was being, dividing the country and blah, 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 blah. The same old story we've heard all along. I'm not debating on whether that's happening or not. I believe it is being divided, but is it really Donald Trump? You got to think about it. Is it really Donald Trump? Or is it just, like I said, the sign of the times or whatever? But here's an example I'm trying to make with this whole story. Is that we are the free world and everybody looks on us. And everybody looks at us as a model. A lot of people do anyway, that America's free and we're able to do these things that we do every day. So we need to really set good examples for what's going on around the world, especially around the world stage, like the State of the Union address around the world stage during that event. So you guys know where I'm going with this. Okay. All right. Here's the thing. State of the Union address lasts for about an hour and a half. Do you think it's possible for our mature, and I say this really sarcastically, our mature, and I'm talking about all of them, and the main characters, our mature politicians to sit up there to put their biases aside for at least an hour and a half and get along and act like mature people and have some dignity and some, integrity and things of that nature. Now, at the end of the president's speech, State of the Union address, everybody knows this by now. Nancy Pelosi did this. She said, you know what? She goes like this. She's like reading this stuff. I don't care if you like Nancy, and I don't care if you like what she did or if you didn't, but she's doing this. And at first I'm like, my wife and I are watching, I'm like, what's this? And she was tearing up a copy of the State of the Union address because apparently she says she didn't believe any of it. She didn't agree with it, and it's pretty obvious that she doesn't like the president. It's pretty obvious that the president doesn't like her. That's not the issue here I'm talking about. Here's the issue I'm talking about. Is we got to stop doing things like that because we had kids there attending that were recognized. Okay? They look up to the government. All parts of the government. They look up to the whole thing. They don't care about Democrats or Republicans. They're looking at all of them. And they're looking to them as mentors. Okay? So when you make behaviors like that, what kind of message are you sending to the youth? Not a good one. Basically teaching that if you don't agree with something, you don't like something on the world stage, you can show your anger or frustration by acting out like that. Now, here's the thing. If she wanted to go like after the whole thing was over and go back to her hotel room or whatever it was, she was staying, her house, I don't know where she stayed, and just take it with her. Just take it with her. Don't say nothing. Just take it with her. And then get her hotel room and go, I can't stand it. I'm just going to tear it up. That's cool. Do it in the privacy of your own house. There's times where you need to show your frustrations, and there's times where you shouldn't. Now, being the flip side of that, people probably think, well, John, she had the right to do that, blah, blah, blah. No, not really. World stage, all that. Well, look at Donald Trump. He didn't shake her hand and all this stuff. Okay, well, you can understand why he didn't do that either because he was pretty upset with her. But here's the thing, too, and I'm not always in, like I said, I look at everything with an open mind. Trump has done a lot of things that I'm like, what? The tweeting and all that stuff. He's done a lot of things that I'm like, oh, my gosh, shake my head at, right? So the point is, two wrongs don't make a right. They all need to get it together. I'm just saying they all need to get it together. Trump maybe should have shook her hand. She should have shook his hand. Like I said, for all this stuff that's been going on prior to the State of the Union, at least let an hour and a half where everybody gets along and sets a good example of what we're really about as far as the United States of America. Put the divisions to the side for an hour and a half. Be united for at least an hour and a half. That's all I'm asking. Kids are watching. Kids are there. The world is watching. We're the laughing stock of the world right now. They're probably looking at that thinking, what? I just felt like that wasn't the right time or right place for her to do that and the whole thing. I just thought that was wrong. I used to think that Nancy Pelosi years ago was kind of like the peacekeeper and negotiated and was real lenient and all this stuff. But that didn't show it last night. I even think a lot of people in her own party were surprised, except for the handful of the girls that are wanting to turn everything into socialism. And like I said, and that's a whole different thing too. The younger people love Bernie Sanders. I got nothing personal against any of these people, right? I really don't. Like I said, it's not a political show. Bernie Sanders is probably a nice old guy. I'd probably have a beer with him. You know what I'm saying? But I don't agree with his politics, and I'll tell you why. And they're kind of brainwashing the younger people. And it sounds good, and I see why they're liking him. Okay? But you got to be really careful about what you do and who you listen to and all that stuff. And I'm not saying that Trump is perfect. He's not. None of the presidents have been perfect, okay? I'm going to back up a little bit. There's been things that a lot of the presidents have done that since I'm old enough to remember, which the first one I remember is like, Jimmy Carter, and I remember a little bit of Gerald Ford. I remember Gerald Ford a little bit first. I don't remember Nixon. I remember he was in office, but I was really young. But I remember Gerald Ford. But all the presidents from him up to the current one, Donald Trump, there's been things that they've done. There's been things that I like, and there's things that they've done that I'm like, oh, I can't believe they just did that. Okay, it's no difference, and I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican. But my point is, at the end of the day, you have to respect who's in the office at the time. You don't have to agree with them, but you got to show a little bit of respect, a little honor, dignity, integrity. And like I said, especially in a State of the Union address, you shouldn't, show any animosities at that time. Leave that for later. Leave that for later if you want to do that. It's okay to show your frustrations and displeasures and express them, but there's a time and a place to do it, basically is what I'm saying. And like I said, there's been presidents that have done things I like and not like. And the same with Donald Trump. There was things that Obama did I liked and didn't like. George W., George H., Clinton, Carter, Reagan, even. So personally, Reagan was my favorite, but he did stuff too that I was like, well, what's he doing that for? But that's the politic thing. But the whole thing is you gotta respect, show a little respect. I mean, for the youth, we gotta demonstrate. We gotta be role models for our youth, and we have to demonstrate maturity and integrity. That's what I'm getting at with this whole thing. And that was the only thing that was kind of disturbing about Nancy doing the whole rip thing. There's a time to be an actor. There's a time not to be an actor. That's all I got to say about that. That's all I'm going to say about that. And a lot of people, too, are like against Rush Limbaugh getting that award. I care less whether he got the award or not, whether he deserved it or not. The bottom line is what I care about is this, is him getting shunned was not right for the simple fact that he's fighting stage 4 cancer. That's bad for anybody, right? That's bad for anybody. We just lost John Andretti, famous race car driver, from stage 4 cancer. Life is too precious, people. Let's leave the biases and bigotry aside. When it comes to somebody really suffering with something like that, gotta have a little grace, a little mercy, a little respect. That's what I'm saying. A little respect, even for Donald Trump. If you don't like him, that's fine. I don't have a problem if you don't like him. If you just can't stand him, that's fine. But give the respect to the country for an hour and a half. That's all I'm saying. That's all I gotta say about that. And respect people that are dying like that. It's crazy, guys. I just think we just become this big old soap opera, and like I said, Donald Trump's not perfect. He's bought a lot of this stuff on himself, and the reason why, because he's an alpha male. They're not used to that. He's very outspoken. He's a New Yorker. He's kind of cocky. All these things. That's Donald Trump, and a lot of people just don't. They're not used to that. They're not used to that. That's what it is. But when it comes to like State of the Union, 1 hour on the world stage, please just act like mature adults. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And the whole thing with like I was getting with Bernie Sanders, I want to go back to that for a minute. These young people really like Bernie and everything, and he seems to be this nice old man and really fiery about and passionate about everything. Should be, we should have free health care. Everybody should have all this stuff, and I understand that. I would be in an ideal world, it'd be great if we had free health care, because I work in the healthcare industry. I know how expensive it is. I know when you're sick, it sucks because you're really debating on whether I should go to the doctor or not, because I'm not going to have enough money to pay for this stuff if I'm sick. It's going to cost me a lot of money. So yeah, in an ideal world, it'd be nice to have socialized medicine, healthcare. But the problem is, guys, it's never worked. Now, if you get one that works, that'd be great. But, history has shown it's never worked. And they study on the socialism idea, and the younger people, I don't think they really know what socialism really is. I think they got an idea, or they think they know what it is, but do you really know what it is? And I really suggest you do some homework on that, really research it back. Because they think, well, it's, rich people give up some of their wages, make everybody even Steven, everybody's got a free shot at everything, and a fair share and a fair shake, and the healthcare is free. The government's going to take care of you. So if you're sick for a long time, the government just take care of you. Well, there's a price to pay for the government taking care of you. Believe me, there is. And you're going to lose a lot of freedoms and stuff like that. Sounds good. Looks good on paper. But, like with the socialized medicine, somebody's got to pay for that, right? It's the taxpayers. It's me and you that pay taxes. Taxes will go up. That will make our wages go down. We're going to wait for that'll pay for the health care, right? But then you get crappy health care. Look at people that live in Canada. Their healthcare is not that great up there. I know people live up there. And, it's just like, okay, you wait for a long time. You may not get the best medicine. You may not get the best doctors. It's not a really good plan. And I don't know what the answer is to curing and fixing the healthcare problem. That is pretty complicated. Would it be nice if we got it for free? Yeah. I'm not going to argue with that. But I don't think Bernie Sanders is the answer. I really don't. So just kind of keep that in mind. Nothing against Bernie, probably a very nice guy. Like I said, have a beer with him, I go have a sandwich and a beer, have lunch with Bernie, drink some coffee with Bernie. If he's watching now, hey, Bernie, let's have a cup of coffee. But I just think that not everybody, it can't be socialism. It can't be a socialist country. It's just the way it is. We're going to lose too many freedoms. And the thing is about these guys, and it's all of them, all the politicians have a hell of a lot more money than I do. All of them. The Democrats, the Republicans, all of them do. And Bernie has a lot of money. And he'll act like, I don't have any money. I give up all my money. You know? No, he's not. No, he's not. And they all fly their private planes and stuff. They all talk about pollution and environment. They want to shut planes down and blah, 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 go totally green, blah, 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 blah. And they're flying planes. And Donald Trump makes fun of that, and he may enlighten that, and he may exaggerate that a little bit, but he's really telling the truth when it comes to that. They're not going to give up their planes, and they're going to fly their planes, and they got money. And so until somebody really does have a sincere idea on how to fix things, then I'll start listening to that person. Okay, that's it. But just be very careful when you go vote this November on who you're voting for. That's all I got to say about that one. And you know what? We still have the freedom to vote. We still have the freedom to do the things we do. Nancy Pelosi still has the freedom to rip up a State of the Union copy right in front of everybody in the whole world to see. Now think about this for a minute. If Nancy Pelosi was to do that in Russia with Putin, for one, do you think she'd still have her job? She would probably go to jail, probably be locked up for life in Russia. In North Korea, if she did that in North Korea, guys, gals, do you know what would happen to her if she were to do that with Kim Jong-un running the show? She'd probably be gone, right? So we're blessed to have this kind of country that we can do that. But the flip side of that, like I'm trying to say, is be cognizant, hold your anger, your frustration. That was not the time to do it. Not the time to do it. It's my humble opinion. Comment below, whatever. I don't really talk about politics on the show. I'm leaning towards it a little bit tonight because that really did kind of bother me. You know, it's just the misbehaviors going on. It's a poor example to show the world. Like I said, we had a chance to be united for an hour and a half as a country, as the Democrat and Republican Party together for just an hour and a half. Put the differences aside. You know, the Indians had it right. The American Indians had it right. You know, they did. When they would have trouble with the Europeans or whatever, and they wanted to have a peace, and they were in war, and they wanted a peace, they smoked a peace pipe, and they'd sit down and talk about it. And that's what they need to do. Maybe they all need to fire up a big one and just sit around and talk about it, right? I don't know. It's frustrating to me. You can tell it, you know, with me just talking about it. Okay, I'm going to switch now. Got 20 minutes into our little conversation. Hey, thanks again for liking and subscribing if you're on YouTube, and if you're watching on Facebook, live watch, thanks again. Kudos to everybody out there drinking the coffee with me. You know, besides the little State of the Union thing that is happening, and the impeachment thing, and of course Donald Trump got acquitted, which we kind of knew that was going to happen. Now that that's over with, last thing I say, political. Now it's over with. Just go on and get some things done. Put the biases and differences aside. If you don't like Trump, just say, you know what, I don't like him. He's an a-hole, whatever. But I'm going to work with the a-hole until November and let the people decide. That's it. Let's work for us. Work for the people. Work for the Democrats and the Republicans. Work for us. We need to be united, guys. United as a country. Let's get over our hang-ups and just be united as a country, okay? I'm going to talk about it in another episode where I listened to this guy. He's a biracial man, and he's a doctor, former doctor, and I'll talk about and I'll share some of his philosophies and his ideas on how the world should be ran. It's really, really interesting and really neat. We're being fed all these biases and prejudices and everything, whether it comes to religion, social statuses, or whatever, to drive wedges into everybody, to create all this big conflict and problems. And if we eliminate all that stuff, we'd all to come together as one human race, and the world would run so much better. He talks about that in great detail, and much better than I can. But I will share a little bit of that with you guys. It's very interesting. I'll share that probably next week. Okay, so we're going to skip out of that. Like I said, let's have a little dignity, respect, integrity for our youth. We set a good example for our young people. Like I said, there was young people in the State of the Union address. It was not the place or the time to do stuff like that. Okay, So I always talk about life being too short. We're talking about the cancer thing. John Andre just died of cancer, stage 4. Rush Limbaugh, like I mentioned, has cancer. It's just, and there's a lot of people I don't even know that has cancer, and a few people that I do have that I do know that are battling cancer. One really good acquaintance of mine who was in the band with me is battling cancer. He's been battling it for a while. I pray for him every day, most days, that he gets better. Um, I talk about this a lot, but life is too precious, and we need to really be careful in what we do. Treat people with dignity and respect. Enjoy every day. Enjoy every moment. Let's be the country we're supposed to be. Let's get back to that. Let's get back to some wholesome values. There's nothing wrong with that. I hope it's not too late. I really do. So, being that said, and then also the 90210, excuse me, gal was just diagnosed with stage 4, Shannon Doherty. I guess that's how she pronounces her name. So it's sad things, and it's give grace to like the Rush Limbaughs and people like that in the world that are dying from stage 4 cancer. Give a little grace, man. Even if you don't like the guy, don't sit down and not acknowledge that he just got an award. Clap for the guy that he's still alive and made it there. There's too much hatred in the world. Man, you talk about here in the local news in Indianapolis. I live right outside Indianapolis, not too far. There's shootings every day in the inner city, just all this bad stuff going on. And I just want to talk about things that are positive and not all the bad stuff. I wish there's a way I could just wave a magic wand and get rid of all the bad negativity and all the shootings and things that are in the world. Respect life, respect people. And that's really what it's all about, folks. It really is. That's what it's all about. Respecting life, respecting people, respecting what we have, not take advantage of anything, and not destroy and take advantage of the environment and all these things. We could be, what am I trying to say here, guys? We could be real conservative with how we do things and keep that respect factor in line. That's really what I got today. Another thing too is what it drives me, what actually brings up makes me think, is what I'm trying to say. I wonder and I think and I wonder about all this. What kind of legacy do you want to leave? My legacy is I want to leave, I'm not the perfect person by no means, but I want to leave a good legacy where people say, John was a decent guy. He's always had a lot of integrity, and he shows compassion for people and respect for people. That's really what the legacy I want to leave. If everybody thought that and treated everybody with respect, the world would be a lot better place. Even like, Washington, D.C. would be a lot better. Comment below if you have any thoughts whatsoever on what I'm talking about. I just think that the respect factor is gone. That's really what I got today. And how do we get it back? How do we get it back? How do we get it back, guys? The respect factor is gone. Would you ever think that years ago, I know that they pounded and they had disagreements back in the government, back in the day, and the King of England, and they're pounding. But really, I have never seen in my lifetime the disrespect that's going on in D.C. right now. It's unbelievable. But we really got bigger fish to fry. We have a virus running around rampant. The coronavirus, which I may share a picture of the coronavirus at the end of the podcast, so you might stay on for a minute. It's kind of funny. Picture of the virus. You guys will like that. Please like and subscribe again, and listen to my chatting every Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, Thursday evening about everyday life situations. I heard people just the other day. My very first podcast I did was actually a year ago in February. I started this show, so it's almost coming up to the year celebration of the Johnny Elm podcast / videocast show. My very first episode was only for 15 minutes, and I talked about crazy, wacky people driving in cars. How they don't obey the speed limits and things of that nature. And it was funny, just yesterday I heard a gal talking about exactly what I was talking about in that very number 1 episode. So I may do a rewind and show that again. So you guys that haven't seen that, episode 1, you'll be able to see it. I may just rebroadcast it on Facebook again. Or for the first time, actually, I think I may do that. But talking about the wacky drivers. It almost seems like today I know I'm kind of freelance at this point. I'm off my notes. I really want to talk about the disrespect in the White House and have really even poor examples, but just kind of freelancing here for the last 5 minutes. Do you ever really wonder what goes through people's minds, like when they're in the car driving and they're in just big hurry to get wherever they're going? Are you really in that big a hurry to get wherever you're going? Think about that. Uh, People get frustrated so quickly, like Nancy ripping up the copy of the you know of the speech of the State of the Union. I mean, it's just astonishing to me. Comment below if you're thinking what I'm thinking. Do you ever just sit back and kind of take a few deep breaths and go, what makes this person do that or that person do that? I'm just intrigued by the human being's thinking, thought processes, how goofed up it is. Like I'll watch like Led Zeppelin. I love Led Zeppelin, right? Just using a rock band, and it'll be like a phenomenal performance of Led Zeppelin on YouTube, and you'll have like maybe 780,000 thumbs up likes on it, and you might have 100 people thumbs down. It's just food for thought. Who are the people thumbing it down? That's crazy to me, You always have to have somebody that's got to have the wrench in the spoke, so to speak. Why is that? Just comment below. It's just, I don't know, weird to me. I understand we have differences of opinions. I understand that, and that makes the world go around. I get that. But why do we have to be today they're so extreme about it? Like you read and hear about on the news that the dude's in line at a fast food restaurant and they didn't make a sandwich right. So they pull out a gun and they pop him. Pop the worker. Shoot the worker because the sandwich wasn't right. Where is that coming from, folks? What happened? Seriously. Or you're at a drive-thru at a fast food restaurant. I mean, it's not even safe to go to a fast food restaurant anymore, it seems like. You go through a drive-thru and somebody, and I've had this happen to me. I am in the drive-thru. I give my order. I'm stuck at the window because the car in front of me is waiting for their food, and they can't pull up any further. I can't go anywhere. I'm stuck here. So the bozo behind me is honking a horn and beeping and getting mad at me like he should hurry up and get that food. What's taking so long? You should be the heck out of the way. Well, that's happened to me, and then thankfully this didn't happen to me. But I heard of just a couple weeks ago that happened to a person, and then the person that was behind him that you couldn't move was shooting at the guy. They were shooting at each other in a drive-thru because the guy didn't move because the guy in front of him couldn't move. They're all waiting on their food. It's just wackiness like that that's going on. That stuff really, guys and gals out there watching me, that's really got to change. I don't know how we're going to do it exactly, but that kind of mentality has got to go. You got to be a little patient. And the thing is with fast food anyway, everybody wants everything fast. Instant gratification now. I want it done now. I want it done this way. And if I don't like it, then I just get rid of you. Whatever, And that goes back to what Nancy Pelosi did with tearing up the speech. There's a time and place to do that kind of stuff. Like I said, if she didn't like it, you go back to her hotel room and tear the hell out of it and be done with it. Don't do it on the world stage. We have to set better examples. We're going to have our differences of opinions, but we have to know when to restrain. We have to know when to be dignified and mature and know when to fold them and know when to hold them, know when to walk away and know when to run, just like the famous Kenny Rogers song, rather. All right, The Gambler. Kenny Rogers, not Loggins. Like Loggins. I'm going to end with this note, happy note, kind of. For me, anyway. Speaking of Kenny Loggins, reminds me of he's a heck of a songwriter, musician. You guys know him. If you don't, look him up. Kenny Loggins, very famous guy. He wrote the theme to Top Gun. And they're going to come out with a sequel called Maverick. It comes out in June. Can't wait to go see it. I'll talk to you guys about that when I go see it in June. The Top Gun's a great show. Love the show. And I can't wait to see the sequel. It's great. And I don't care if you're a Tom Cruise fan or not. I care less about that. It's just a good movie. All right, you guys, have a good one. Thanks for letting me share 30 minutes of blabbing with you every Thursday afternoon, Thursday night. And like I said, don't forget to like and subscribe on the YouTube side. Comment below on anything. Well, you had a good day or bad day or whatever. Or just say, hey, Johnny, how's it going? It's all good. Till next week, you guys be safe. Have some integrity. Have some respect. Love and peace. And I'll see you guys next week on the Johnny Allen Podcast /Videocast Show.